Okay, I want to welcome everyone to From Vision to Reality, three core steps to confidently start your business. We have Jen Shultz with us here today. I've worked with her in the past, and we're very happy to have her here supporting our Boston Business Mentor clients. As we get started, we're going to do a brief overview of what's happening here at Boston Business Mentors. Our goal is, of course, business education for small businesses ranging from uh, getting ready to start to exiting your business. We have experts to assist you at any point along the way or with any topic that you're interested in. Mentoring is definitely our major focus. Our mentors are volunteers, and they're there to help you in however way is best for you, whether you're looking for someone to be a sounding board, or if you're looking for someone to help you figure out how to overcome a challenge, or total planning, or any goal that you need, you have set for yourself. They can help you get there. So strongly suggest that you get a mentor. If you don't have one, they're always free. We never charge for mentoring. As is, we never charge for workshops as well. Our workshops and webinars are always free. We have our webinars online. We have in-person workshops. We have strategy roundtables that a lot of our business owners love. And we do networking events. So, watch for our newsletter, check on our website. We're always adding new topics, new dates, new events. We also have a lot of information on our website. Under resources, you can find templates that you can download. You can find the blogs. I love the blogs. There's always new articles. They're very relevant to what's happening in business today. Many can even be industry specific. So a lot of really great articles. So check those out. We're going to go ahead and get things started here with Jen. Let me bring down my screen so I can hand it over to Jen.
Give me just 1 second. Let's see what's happening here. For some reason, there we
Here it
go.
is. It is here.
There
Yep.
we go. It didn't want to do anything there. Okay. Thanks, Teresa. Welcome, welcome, everyone. I am super excited to be here with you today to really take this 1 hour to go through three core steps to confidently start your business. And my name is Jen Shultz. I am the founder of a company called the Non 9 to 5. So the three core steps that I'm going to be sharing with you all today comes from my own personal experience of quitting a full-time job. I was a teacher when I quit, so quitting my full-time teaching job. And I did that really in favor of following my heart, following where I was called to go next. It definitely wasn't logical, and it definitely went against, I would say, all safe norms. So, as we're going through these three core steps and what I'll be sharing with you today, a couple of notes I want to give you. The three core steps may not be what you think they are. They may be a little bit different than what you're anticipating that they might be. So, as we're going through, I invite you to use what you choose. Take with you what resonates. If I share something that doesn't resonate, just let it go. So just use what you choose to use from what I'm sharing. You'll want to have something to take notes with so you don't miss anything. You may likely hear me say, I want you to write this down. I will also put some things into the chat if you're more of a visual learner, because some people are. And actually, speaking of the chat, I'd love for you to, because I just don't want to assume, I'd love for you to put into the chat, where are you zooming in from? So maybe you're not exactly in Boston, maybe you're somewhere in Massachusetts, maybe you're in a completely different state, maybe you're in a different city. Put into the chat where you're zooming in from. That will also let me know that you're here, you're listening, and you're participating. Where are you zooming in from? And I'll let you know that I am not in the Boston area. I'm in Austin, Texas. I'm originally from New York City. And again, where are you zooming in from? Put that into the chat. So I want to share with you from here A couple of other pieces before we go into a little bit about my story and how I came to be doing what I'm doing right now. So we've got this hour together. I'll also open up for Q&A at the end if you have any questions. And I highly, highly recommend staying with me for the full time today because at the end of today's webinar, before we go into Q&A, I'll share with you how you can stay connected with me, how you can be supported by me if that makes sense for you, if what I share with you here today resonates with you. And again, let us know where you're zooming in from. I know we've got folks on here. I feel like I'm speaking into the abyss when I can't see everyone. So let me know where you're zooming in from in the chat. So, a little bit about myself and my story. So, this is actually me on the right about 15 years ago. Actually, kind of almost 15 years ago to the day. Yes, I've gotten much older. I have white hair now, and my hair can no longer be this color. But this is about 15 years ago. I believe this was taken in March of 2011. And so, around this time in my life, well, going back a couple of months before this photo was taken, I was a teacher at a very rigorous, high-performing charter school in the South Bronx of New York City. And at that time in my life, I was feeling quite overwhelmed. I was feeling very burnt out. I was going through a time of experiencing very heavy anxiety. And at that same time of experiencing what I just refer to these as low-level energies, I was also feeling this desire, this call to go out on my own and teach and sort of be free of the education system. But when I had that thought, that feeling come to me, I also questioned it because I said to myself, well, if this is what I want to do, if I want to keep teaching, there's no way I can teach on my own if I'm not working for a school. So there were a lot of doubts and questions. However, the anxiety that I had been experiencing brought me into such a low space where I was feeling the weight of the world on my shoulders that actually told me I really needed to exit this job. And on a Monday morning in December of 2010, I spoke to the principal, gave her my 2 weeks notice, and there was no other job, no other income stream lined up for me. It was a very scary leap into the unknown, yet it put me on the path of self-employment. And within 3 months, which is this picture again, I started my first business. If you can see that, it might be hard to read. It says Teacher on the Go. I started a business called Teacher on the Go, where I did continue educating on my own in my own way with students all over New York City, which is where I'm from. And I went to their homes. I also went into schools to work with children, excuse me. And I was able to take something that I was very passionate about and do it on my own, which was something that I realized was a path that I was meant to go. And I realize and have learned over now 15 years of being successfully self-employed that I am just happen to be the type of person who is not coded, if you will, to be in a full-time job. I am coded for self-employment. It is meant for me. And self-employment may really be meant for you, which is why we're going to be talking about these 3 core steps to start your business, to confidently start it. And now, since 2013, I've been the founder of the Non 9 to 5, where I work with people that may be just like yourselves, people who I consider exceptional individuals who are deeply passionate about helping others through their own business. They're deeply passionate about fulfilling on their life purpose, which is to be in business and of service and support to others. But these are people who are stuck with, how do I put these pieces together? And can I actually do this business, even though it really calls to my heart and my soul? So from there, we're going to go into the chat. So I hope you're willing to go into the chat because this is how you're going to get the most out of our work here together today. I'm going to ask a question. And the way that I'm going to get a sense of who is here in our Zoom room is for you to put the number that corresponds to the answer. So the question I'm posing is, where are you at right now when it comes to being in business for yourself? Are you number one, you want to start your own business? You're clear, that's what I want. You are under a number two, you have already started your business. Are you a three? You're somewhere in between, exploring starting a business, but you're unsure if you should move forward with it. And if none of those apply to you, let me know what those are. Whatever that is in the chat, type that in. So where are you at in your business building journey? Hi, Leonard from Metro West, Massachusetts. And again, this is interactive. So you're listening and you want to be participating. That's how you'll kind of get your quote unquote bang for your buck. That way, you know the time that you're investing is worth your time. Sean is giving me a three across the board. Three, 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 three. Somewhere in between. I'm exploring, but I'm unsure if I should move forward with it. Beautiful. And then from there, what I want to know is what holds you back? What can stop you from starting and pursuing a business? What are the challenges or the fears? And there's four choices here, but again, if none of these resonate with you, put in there what does. Are you stopped by a fear of failure? Are you worried about financial? So number two, financial fears. Are you a three? I don't know where to start. There is just so much information out there. What's the first step? What should I do to start? What's that step to take? What about fear of rejection? I mean, a lot of folks don't want to admit this, but what if no one wants what I'm offering? What if I say or do the wrong thing and then someone feels quite turned off by this? And if it's more than one answer, please put that in. So I'm getting a one from Sean, fear of failure. Beautiful. Thank you. Now, we're looking at where are you on this path, on this journey? What holds you back? What could be holding you back? The fears, as I have them listed there in the chat, or we can call them challenges. But then if we flip this over and we look at, well, what are the positives of being in business? What are the amazing things that we can experience as self-employed people, as business owners? Is it a number one for you? Freedom. Is it a two? Purpose. You really get to do work that has you feeling purposeful in the world. Is it a three? Impact. I get to help people and make a difference in my own unique way. I get to have an impact on others. Is it a four? Income potential. Well, if I'm a business owner, I have unlimited earning potential instead of a fixed salary. Sean says a three, impact. Getting to make that difference in your own unique way and having an impact on people. Leonard says 2B, you've been self-employed for many years, various scenarios. You'd like to transition to more of a consultant. And two, you want to have purpose, is what I'm assuming, Leonard, but you want to do it in more of a consultancy capacity. Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing. So from there, I want to briefly share with you, as we go into these three core steps, what you see highlighted in these seven are the three that we'll be going into today. So these seven here, these are seven teachings that I provide within the Non-9-to-5 programs, the work I do with the folks that I serve and support. And these seven teachings, or you can call them seven steps, whatever word kind of makes more sense for you, are what I call the non-9-to-5 process. So this is the process that folks go through when we're working together. And again, the three that are highlighted here are those three that we'll be talking about today. Create clarity on your non-9-to-5 purpose, build the bridge to successful self-employment, lead with your intuition. And again, as I'm going through, you may say, this is not what I thought today was going to be about. Well, if so, I think that's great because perhaps it's a little bit different or a little bit unique. From there, I have a PDF that I've written entitled The Number One Step to Staying with Your Business Mission. And I put this together probably now around 2018, 2019. And what I put this together because I realized there's one thing that is just so important to help someone actually stay with their business. Meaning, you can start a business, but it's a whole other ballgame to stick with it, to stay with it, and not give it up, and perhaps go back to a full-time job. In my many years of doing this work, that's what I have found where people can get the most stuck, is actually sticking with it for many different reasons. So if you'd like to receive that PDF from me, just put your first name and your best email into the chat, and I will send that off to you after today. We're going to go right into, from there, core step number 1, create clarity on your non 9 to 5 purpose. Create clarity on your non 9 to 5 purpose. So many people think that starting a business will begin with things such as setting up an LLC, perhaps a clever business name, social media pages, business cards, website, maybe even an office space, etc. But the truth is that none of those pieces matter. Clever business name, social media, website, business cards, none of those things matter if you aren't clear what your purpose is and why it's your purpose. None of that matters. You could have the best business cards in the world and the best card stock. You could have the coolest website in the world, but if you're not clear, if you're not 100% clear on what your business purpose is and why that's your business purpose, all of that just goes out the window. I can't tell you the number of times people will tell me, and I just heard this the other day, well, I'm on my way to start my business. I just got to set up my LLC. But there's no other plan after that. There's no real plan in place. I just got to get my website up and then I'll have my business. It doesn't actually work that way. So if you aren't clear on your purpose and why it's your purpose, that other stuff just doesn't matter. It really doesn't. And I'm putting this into the chat too, if you are looking at the chat. And remember, this is interactive. For you to get the most bang for your buck, you want to be in that chat. You want to be listening to what I'm sharing and taking notes. So I just put into the chat, if you aren't clear on your purpose and why it's your purpose, the other stuff, it just doesn't matter. And if you haven't already, please go ahead and write that down. Your why is the foundation. Your why is your foundation. And this may seem, it perhaps may seem to you, depending on where you're at, like this is super simple and this is super easy. Of course I'd know. Of course I'd know what my why is. Of course I'd know why it's this business, why I feel called, why this is my purpose. But actually, when we get down to it, many people are not clear, and that's okay. It's just part of the journey. But it is crucial to know why you are called to self-employment, why you want to go out on your own and start a business. And what happens is, if you're not clear why you're called to self-employment, why you're called to go out on your own and start a business, what will likely happen? You will make decisions that are perhaps really not urgent ones, that are not needed to be made. You may make decisions based out of fear, based out of doubt, rather than making decisions with a clear intention and a clear purpose. You may start to build something that really isn't the business that's meant for you. You might start a business because you think, well, this business will be easy, or I'll be able to make a lot of money with this business, even though you're not really clear, like, is this the business for me? Does this match my heart and my soul? You may start a business and just lose energy, lose momentum. Challenges will pop up. And because you're not super clear on why you feel pulled to this business, those challenges may be trickier for you than they actually needed to be. You may be someone who ends up staying in a loop of staying in a 9 to 5 job, staying in some sort of full-time job that is not fulfilling for you, and never really stepping into the business, the work that you're meant to do. Now, another way that we can ask this question that connects you, create clarity on your non 9 to 5 purpose and everything I've shared so far, and I'm putting this into the chat, is what do I really feel called to help people with? What do I really feel called to help people with? Businesses are designed to help, right? So we start businesses to solve a problem, to help someone overcome a difficulty, to help people overcome challenges, etc. In the work that I do within the non-9 to 5 programs, important that I share this too, is that I will never have anyone start with, oh, you have this business idea? Great, go set up an LLC. This is your business idea? Great, go get social media. Put up a website. It doesn't make any sense to do that. We start with purpose and why. Because when you're clear on your why of being in business, why it's this particular business, why this idea you feel strong about, and you're willing to take steps to move toward that, things naturally start to become easier. So I'm going to give each of you that are here, or if you're listening on the recording as well, a next step. So as I teach these 3 core steps, I'm always going to give you a next step for you to take if you choose to put this into practice for yourself after the webinar today. So what do I really feel called to help people with? Well, I already put that in. Sorry. That was already there. Let me go into the 2 questions. So that is part of it. But answer these 2 questions on your own after today's webinar. What do I really feel called to help people with? Why does that matter to me? So if you like to write or even type, you can do this typing. See what comes through as your answer. This is more of a sort of reflection next step. I'll tell you, I personally think, our worlds and human beings, we need to be reflecting a lot more reflection and getting very real and honest with ourselves. When you get clear on what you feel called to help people with, and you get clear on why it matters to you, this is bringing you closer to your purpose. So that is core step number 1, create clarity on your non-9 to 5 purpose. And in the chat, you have a next step to take that's connected to this. So from there, core step number 2 is build the bridge to successful self-employment. Excuse me, I just spilled some water. So build the bridge to successful self-employment. What is this about? So I know you probably may know this as well, but there's a big difference between wanting to start a business, starting a business, and sticking with it. So there's a big difference between I want to start a business to I'm starting the business to I'm sticking with it. I'm staying with it. Big difference. What I have seen over my years of doing this work and being self-employed is this is typically where I see people getting stuck. There's the desire, there's the wanting, but they don't really know how to go from wanting to starting and then sticking with it. So let's actually focus here on getting stuck between wanting and starting. Because maybe this is where you are. Maybe you've got the desire, maybe you have the interest, but you're not really sure. How do I get from this being an idea, from me being interested in this, to actually taking the steps to start it? And maybe you're someone who's read a lot of books. Maybe you've listened to a ton of podcasts. Maybe you're taking a ton of these webinars, courses. Maybe you're getting certifications. Maybe you've got your LLC, you've got social media, etc. But when it comes down to it, actually creating a business that generates an income and is on a path to sustainability, maybe that just seems really far away, or you doubt that you can do that. Now, the desire is there to start the business, to create success, to help others, whether it's through a service or a product. You know you want to generate the income from doing that. You want the freedom. You want perhaps the creativity that comes with being a business owner because you're creating everything on your own. But again, how do you build a bridge to get the business going without stopping or slowing down? How does one do that? As I can say, and again, from my personal experience and within my business, my professional experience, I've worked with many people who were very excited to start, but then when it came down to sticking with it, well, I should say who wanted to start actually starting and sticking with it, this is where all the pieces kind of started to fall apart. So first, the bridge to successful self-employment is built one baby step at a time. It is built one baby step at a time. Little bite-sized pieces, step by step by step. And it starts with the same three things. Now, these three things, these three teachings I'm going to share with you, may not resonate. You may go, I don't think that's how I should start. That's okay. Use what you choose to use, take what resonates, leave the rest behind. So, number one, that first piece in terms of how do we do this? How do we close the gap from wanting to starting? Number one is action. Make sure you're writing that down. Action. This is the willingness to take action, small, consistent action steps. This is the willingness to take the steps that are typically out of our comfort zones, that scare us, that feel a little bit risky. For many people, what I have heard and seen over the years, it could be simply attending an event, picking up the phone, sending an email, and making an ask of someone or inviting someone to have a conversation with you. Something like that is typically what I've heard is where people can get really stuck. But number one is action. Number two is support. You want to have a structure for support in place with yourself. So it could be a mentor through BB Mentors. That could be the way for you to go. It could be through coaching. It could be through community. It could be through a group of people holding you accountable. It could be through the work that I do within the non-9 to 5 programs. We have a structure for support and people are held accountable at quite a high level. Without support, this leads to paralysis. So if you've heard the term analysis paralysis, it can lead to exhaustion, burnout, and you don't make much progress, if any. And then number three is mindset. So mindset are a couple of things here, meaning as human beings, we all have what is referred to as limiting beliefs. We have beliefs that we're not even always conscious of that we have that are actually limiting. They pose limitations on us. And so mindset is really important to be someone willing to come from a space of having what can be referred to as a growth mindset. So there is someone by the name of Carol Dweck, who I don't remember what the book is called, but she is, from what I know, and I'd read the book years ago, and I had first learned about her work probably about 14 years ago. She writes about growth mindset versus fixed mindset. And I remember when I learned about this, I could see, and this is again 14 years ago, I could see where I was stuck in this fixed mindset. I could see it because I was willing to be real with myself. I could see my limiting beliefs. I could see negative talk that I had, etc. And I realized if I really wanted to be successful, not just in business, but within life, communication, relationships, leadership, etc., I need to start learning how to have a growth mindset. Second piece of this is that a mindset shift from perhaps if this resonates with you, I've got to figure everything out right now, to it's actually okay to be a beginner and not really know all the steps that I need to take. What I want to do from here is focus on one of these pieces that I just shared. And remember, we did action, support, mindset. I want to take a moment to focus on action. And this is super, super important. For our work here during this webinar, I am defining the word action as a willingness to take small steps even when you don't have all the answers. And we can actually add to that a willingness to take small steps even when you don't have all the answers and even if it scares you. Please go ahead and write that down in your notes. Even if it scares you, even if it feels uncomfortable, it's taking you out of your comfort zone. And that actually, when an action step, you can say to yourself, you can admit to yourself, this is out of my comfort zone. You can admit to yourself, this is a little bit scary. You can admit to yourself a little bit doubtful. You don't have to tell other people that's how you feel, but willingness to admit to yourself. That is a place to start. So, I'm going to give you an example from my own life in terms of where I saw, where I experienced rather, a shift in starting my business because I was willing to be in action in a way that, to be really honest with you, scared the heck out of me. So this is going back, I don't remember how many years ago, not quite 15, but probably like 13 or 14 years ago. And I was wanting to start this business. I didn't know it was the non 9 to 5. It was more coaching around life purpose. But I had the interest in supporting people to do what I had done, which was quit their full-time job, get clear in their purpose, and pursue that as a business. So I am one to do quite a bit of reflection and writing to suss out my own thoughts and feelings. And I was sitting on my bed in my New York City apartment in my small bedroom. I shared this apartment with two other roommates at the time. And something came to me where I thought, if I want to move this forward, if I want to try out this coaching thing, and I was actually going for a coaching certification at the time, um, I've got to take an action that scares me. And the action that came to me was, well, why don't I email a bunch of people, email a bunch of people and let them know that I'm providing these coaching services and see if they want to take me up on an offer to work with me. And I did just that. I put an email together. I actually still have that email. And when I read back, I laugh at it because the way that it was worded was quite funny. It's not how I would word emails now. But I, put myself out there. I didn't know what people were going to say. I didn't know if they would reject me, if they'd say, why are you doing this? Stupid. Why would anyone want this? I probably emailed about, let's say 40, maybe 50 people max. And I actually worked with my first 4 clients doing that. And these were paid sessions. I offered to do this work with me for a very, very tiny investment. But I did it. And I, again, worked with those first 4 people. So a note too, when I did that, I didn't have a website, didn't have an LLC, didn't have social media. I just sent the email to as many people as I thought I could, and that, I think what I was offering would make sense to send to them. So your action step over the next week, your action step over the next approximately 7 days, so you have enough time, that you're going to do from core step number 2, build the bridge to successful self-employment, is you're going to come up with one action that you can take to move your business or business idea forward. Even if you're unsure if it's the right action, you're going to take one action that you sense, hey, I think if I take this action, this could move this forward. This could move this idea forward. And actually, I'm remembering, I believe it was Leonard who'd shared earlier. Leonard, you shared, you've been self-employed for many years. You want to transition to being more of a consultant. What is one step, Leonard, you could take to start that transition into being more of a consultant? Perhaps you already are, but there's another next step. There's something else that you're seeing. And Sean, thank you. I see your email and your first name for the PDF. I will make sure you get that. So that is the next action step to take, again, connected to core step number 2, build the bridge to successful self-employment. Before we go into core step number 3, I always like to share great stories of people that are taking uncomfortable actions, that are taking time to reflect, that are being supported, that are shifting their mindset. And this is a woman that I work with within the non-9 to 5 programs. Her name happens to be Jen as well. And Jen and I have been working together now for almost 6 years. And I like noting that for two reasons. One is it shows her intentionality and dedication to continuing to create successful self-employment, be supported, and continuing to work on her mindset, as well as noting that when Jen and I started our work together, she was in a full-time waitressing job, which was just so misaligned for her. She was exhausted, she was tired, she was working really long hours on her feet, and she didn't want to be doing that anymore. And so, with my support and the actions that we mapped out she would take, she secured another full-time job, very much so in line with her passions and beliefs. And then during this time, we got clear on what the business was meant to be. She's worked with 15 clients now while working a full-time job. She's raised her prices on the services that she offers. She travels to Greece way more. You can see here her business is she creates travel experiences, very unique ones for people going to Greece. She's very and Leonard, this may resonate with you. The way that we're looking at her work is she's more like a consultant, because when you work with her, she's consulting and really supporting you, very, very different way than, say, a travel agent would. And her confidence has shifted. So just really lovely to always be able to share about someone that I've had the honor and privilege to serve and support, and what this person has created, going through these steps, going through all of those 7 teachings that I shared earlier within the non-9 to 5 process. So from there, we're going to go into core step number 3. This may be one of the steps that really seems like, hey, what does this have to do with starting a business? This doesn't seem like it makes any sense, depending on who you are and how you think. But it happens to be one of my favorite teachings within the non-9 to 5 programs, because this is more about what can be referred to as the inner work required to start a business. So the inner work, meaning, and you'll hear a connection back to core step number 2, meaning your mindset, your emotional awareness, your feelings, your ability to trust yourself, your ability to connect in with your heart and your soul. But what I know to be true is that most people forget about this. Not all people, but most. And most people won't even see the connection. Nothing wrong with that. This is not meant for everybody. But what I know from my work and going from where I was to where I am, I know how powerful and needed this is. And people will forget about this because, well, first and foremost, not because something is wrong with them or something is wrong in general, but because there's a natural tendency in our world to be so focused on very tangible and concrete outcomes. Whatever those outcomes may be for you. Social media posts, social media likes, social media follows, getting that website up, getting website hits, starting a podcast, growing an email list, sales, admin, etc. Obviously, we need these pieces, some of them more so than others. But if we're only focused on the outer, our results will only go so far. Truly. So we must put a focus on the inner to really get outer lasting results. Outer lasting results. And I would add that word, if you just wrote that down, what I put in the chat, lasting. In core step number 2, build the bridge to successful self-employment, I just invited you in that step to take a small action yourself, something that feels perhaps a little risky, a little uncomfortable. But it's also where you have an intuitive sense, a gut feeling, if you will, that if you take that step, it could move your business or business idea forward. So let's go a little bit deeper there. Listening to your intuition is a powerful gift. And the thing about that is that I absolutely love that every single human being alive in our world has access to it if they choose to access it, if they choose to let it be a part of their life, because you don't have to. You can make all of your decisions in life based from logic. You absolutely can. When I quit my job, it wasn't based out of logic. It went against all what we could refer to as societal norms. And I am so grateful I did that. I was having a conversation actually last night with a neighbor of mine who's in a full-time job. And she's been in this job for 2 years and she's not going the path of a business owner, but this conversation makes so much sense to just share here. She's been in a space where she's been feeling a lot of struggles with this job. It doesn't resonate with her as much. There's a lot of difficult things going on within the job that she's really struggling with. And for a couple of months now, she's been thinking of exiting. But she said to me, I'm really afraid because I don't know what's going to happen next. And I said, yeah, you don't. But what if you stay and you never take that step to see what could be on the other side? So taking that step to leave may not be a logical next step, but taking that step to leave could be the very best next step that leads you to what it is you truly want. And when you take a step that can feel scary, this is actually about having the ability to listen and trust yourself. And I teach this within the work that I do with the clients that I work with. I teach them to listen to yourself, to trust yourself. Because if you can't trust your own inner voice, your own intuition, if you can't trust your gut feeling, if you're not able to trust that, if you're not willing to trust that, what will happen is you'll always be seeking someone else's approval, whether that's approval you're finding on social media, whether it's in the media in general, whoever that may be. I think like from childhood, as children, we look to our parents or our guardians for approval, which makes sense, but as adults, we don't need someone else's approval. What's more important is that we're trusting what our gut is saying. So much of the fear, the doubt, the procrastination, the feeling stuck, the spinning your wheels that I see in people who want to start a business really comes down to a lack of trust in themselves. But when you're building a business, especially a business, and these are the types of, say this way, let me say this way first. When you're building a business, especially a business that's very personal to you, that is coming from your heart, coming from your gut, is purpose driven, you must be able to hear your own voice, to trust yourself, to listen to your gut through all the noise that's out there in the world and noise perhaps coming from other people. I connect with many people. I just connected with a woman who's our newest member of the 9 to 5 program several days ago, and she said to me several occasions, one of the fears I have is that there are people in my life that don't want me to do this. They don't support me here. And so I'm afraid to fail because I'm afraid for them to say, told you so. But then we have to ask ourselves, are we willing to let that fear drive us? Or are we willing to say, I'm going to follow my heart. I'm going to follow those gut nudges that I'm getting. A note about intuition, it typically doesn't show up very loudly. It's more quiet. It's kind of small. Might even feel kind of still. It might feel like a soft nudge, a gentle knowing, if you will. And sometimes it's going to feel both scary and exciting at the same time. You're going to feel that sense of I'm stepping out of my comfort zone, but there's something about this that feels kind of good, kind of exciting, kind of like, yes, I should do this. So, how do you take intuition and put it into action? Because this core step is entitled Lead with Your Intuition. And the reason why is that I fully believe in leading from your intuition, which is why I'm circling the heart here on the slide. We need this for sure. But we also get stuck in neural pathways that are patterned in us where we do the same things over and over. So it's about coming from here. So how do we do that? Well, I have this step that I want you to take after today's webinar. So over the next week, the next approximately 7 days, you want to take 5 to 7 minutes, or excuse me, 5 to 10 minutes, could be 7, to sit quietly in that reflective space with a notebook, with something to take notes, and ask yourself, what is my intuition telling me about my business right now? Write down what comes through. See if you can write that down without judging it, without criticizing yourself. Listen to it, write it down, and then see if there's an action to take that you're currently not taking. Maybe you're procrastinating on, afraid to take, doubtful. Take that action. See if you can take that action. Let me say it this way. Taking that action, regardless of the result, may just give you a next boost or a next step or a next level of confidence. So you can feel confident on your non-9 to 5 journey, as I like to call it, or start feeling confident on your non-9 to 5 journey. So from there, I want to go into how you can stay connected with me if you'd like to do that, and be supported from me if you'd like to do that. So you put this in the chat. I invite you to take down, oh, my links did not come up. Hang on 1 second. You can't click on any of those links, I think, except the website. Okay, just bear with me because I tried this out earlier and it worked. Let's try this. And now it's not.
I'm happy to include it in the follow-up email, Jen, if you want.
Yeah, thank you. It's so funny though. It's like, you test out all these tech glitches and I tested and tested and I was like, great, all the links work.
I know, right? And then,
Yes. So thank you, Teresa.
mhm.
But what I will do right now anyway, because I wanted to share with you a couple of notes before we're going to Q&A, is see if this works. Okay, there's LinkedIn, because I know you might want to click on it now. So you have that. And then let me do one other thing. And then I want to share with you what the bottom part of this is. And then I want to open to Q&A uh, if there is any questions, or if there's a thought that you want to share, an insight. And if not, that's okay too. So there we have it. Okay, now you have all the links, and my email is there too. So On this slide, and in the chat, I should say, because that's where you can get the links. And Teresa will put this into the email as well that she sends out, is how you can stay connected with me if you choose to do so, if what I shared here resonated with you. And then also during the month of April, I happen to have two spaces left on my calendar for 1 hour complimentary private clarity calls with me. And what those calls are about is you leave getting clear on what it is you're really struggling with, what's not really working for you when it comes to starting your business and doing it confidently. I support you with the next best step that I sense makes sense for you. And together we also see if the 9 to 5 programs, if my work are a match for you. And on these calls, I have no attachment to any specific outcome. It's a joy and a pleasure to do these calls for people that it makes sense to have these calls with. And if you're interested in this, just send me an email, jen@the9to5.com. It's in the chat, and we can go from there. Okay, so any questions?
I am not seeing any questions actually.
Okay.
But I'm going to go while in case somebody's thought of something and they want to type it in, I'm just going to throw up my final thank you screen. There is
Yeah.
that QR code to get a mentor if you're interested, or our email and our website as well. So, yeah, so if anyone has any questions, type away. We're ready for you at this time.
Got eight
Um,
minutes to go. If there's any questions, anything you want to share. Um, Man, it's funny. I really, if you all of you could have seen how I tested these links, I logged into my own Zoom. I chatted myself and everything came up perfectly. And when I did it here,
I
beautiful beauty of technology.
I know, and you prepare and you prepare. I've been in your shoes, and
It
things just
happened.
happen.
But you know what? That's all part of being a business owner too. Things are going to happen that you're like, they kind of feel like they come out of nowhere, and then we just got to roll with it. Just got to be with it.
Okay. Well, I don't see any questions. Certainly people can reach out from that follow-up email with all the contacts in it, and then they may have already captured your contact information, and
Yeah,
they're submitting you an email already. So,
sure.
but anyway, thank you, Jen, so much for sharing your knowledge with our clients today, and thank you all for joining us, and we hope to see you again real soon.
All right. Thanks so much.